vision, we just trade the keys. Turning all our visions into shared realities. Keep the base low, keep the vision clear, yeah. The future isn't coming, it's here, yeah. It's her story now. Yeah. It's her story now, see you at the top. Moving past the history, yeah, it's our story now. We don't just break the ceiling, we show them how. Chilling in the lobby, but I'm focused on the peak. Lifting as we climb, that's the energy we seek. It's a vibe, it's a movement, it's a whole plan. From history to her story, catch it if you can, yeah. Catch it if you can. Coffee in the morning, blueprint on the desk. We don't settle for the good, we're aiming for the best. Saw the way they did it, yeah, the chapters look the same, but we're adding new pages, putting color in the frame. It's about the mentorship, it's about the bond. Taking what we learned and we're moving far beyond. Quiet confidence, yeah, we're moving with the grace. There's a different kind of power when a woman leads the space. Moving past the history, yeah, it's her story now. We don't just break the ceiling, we show them how. Chilling in the lobby, but I'm focused on the peak. Lifting as we climb, it's the energy we seek. It's a vibe, it's a movement, it's a whole plan. From history to her story, catch it if you can. Real queens fix crowns, they don't ever.
Howdy, howdy, everyone. I'm Lauren, and I'm one of the 3 co-founders here at Mimo. Thank you for hanging out with us today. My background is in event planning and marketing, and when I met Jen and Shai, we quickly bonded over one very, very specific thing. We were done with the way the industry operates. The ego, the burnout, the leadership that talks a big game, but grew up never seeing the bottom of a chancla, and now they run businesses treating people like they're disposable. It didn't sit right with us, so we built something different. Mimo came from that energy, and this webinar is a piece of it. Honestly, one of my favorite parts of all of this has been watching it turn into something I wish I had earlier in my career. A space like this with conversations like these, it's been surreal and emotional. So I'm really glad you're here to be a part of it with us. I feel really great and cute, but I am detrimentally awkward. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to the 2 people who actually like being on stage, my incredibly talented partners, Cheyenne and Jen.
Thank you, Lauren. And hi, everyone, and welcome to From History to Her Story. I'm Cheyenne, one of the founders here at Mimo Marketing. For more than a decade, I've partnered with SMBs, startups, Fortune 100 companies, and everything in between to transform organizational vision into high-impact content, strong executive presence, full-scale marketing campaigns, and tell stories that actually make their audience feel something. I've spent a lot of my career shoving my way. I'm going to cry. I spent a lot of my career shoving my way into rooms that I definitely wasn't invited to, and I probably didn't belong in. But I've always lived by the motto that if you show up confidently and pretend you know what you're doing, sorry, I'm getting emotional, most people will follow suit. And here I am today. I'm truly so glad you're here because if you're here, you showed up for a reason. Maybe you're here to feel something too, or maybe you feel a lot of things like I do, or maybe you're here to connect with people facing similar barriers. Maybe you're chasing a goal that's been sitting in your mind for way too long, or maybe that little voice in your head finally got too loud when it was telling you that you're not quite ready yet, you might fail, or it's just not perfect enough. We see you, we've been you. On many days, we still are you, and we built today especially for you. Over the next hour, some phenomenal women are going to share their magic with us, and our hope is that it helps you quiet that voice in your head so you can find your footing and kick life's ass. Now, I'll hand it over to your host of the afternoon and my favorite business baddie, Jen Whitehurst. Jen, take it away.
Thanks, Cheyenne. So for everyone here today, let me ask you something. How many times have you sat in a room, or in this case, a Zoom, and walked away with a heart full of hopes and a notebook full of notes and zero idea what to actually do next? Because I know I have. We're not going to do that today. Our goal is to be the complete opposite of that. My name is Jen Whitehurst. I'm one of the co-founders of Mimo. And after over a decade of making magic at companies like Disney, Hulu, consulting with small businesses, startups, I reached for something more and became co-founder of a marketing agency built on one very specific thing: mindful momentum. So we're not about hype. We're not about fluffy buzzwords. We are about authentic forward movement. And between the 5 speakers you're going to hear from today, you're sitting in a virtual room with decades of real, earned, battle-tested experience, serving real talk, no fillers, no filter, no weird paywall that you got to get through to get actual answers and experience from people. So we've been in the boardrooms, we've built the strategies, seen what works, what doesn't, and what the clearance rack of business advice looks like online. So today, you're going to get the good stuff. And to be really clear, it's free, not because it's not good. It's because we believe in creating equity when we can. We built this from the heart. We know what it feels like to be the person in the room who's hungry for real information, real strategy, real talk, and keeps getting a sales pitch instead. So today we wanted to create something valuable and accessible. History to Her Story is really about celebrating Women's History Month and the history, or her story, that we can create together. So whether you're just starting out or scaling up or trying to figure out what your next business move is, this session was built for you. And our hope is that you'll walk away with a little bit more of a game plan and not just good vibes, although vibes are definitely part of this afternoon. So let's close our other tabs, grab something to write with, and go make her story. Our first guest has spent her career helping people rewrite the rules. As co-owner of Cabot in Maine, she helps firms rethink how to build, grow, and define success, often challenging the conventional playbook. She's also the co-creator of the Rewrite Project, a platform exploring what happens when ambitious women start questioning the rules they've been given about success, work, and ambition. If you've ever felt like you had more to say but held back, this is the conversation you need to hear. Introducing Katie Toscano.
All right. Thank you, guys. I'm so happy to be here today. But I want to start with a question for you. I want to ask you, what is the one story that you keep telling yourself over and over that is holding you back? So this might be a story like, I'm too loud, or I'm not smart enough, I'm not experienced enough. And I'm going to share mine in a second, but if you are feeling brave enough, I would love to see you throw it in the chat and share what's been holding you back. This is cute little toddler Katie here. So for most of my life, the story that I've been telling myself is I am too shy, I am way too quiet, and I am way too much of a good girl. And that story that I've been telling myself my whole life, it's really not something that just defined who I thought I was. It also really limited what I thought I was capable of. And I think a lot of us probably have a story that is similar to this that we tell ourselves. It's a story that controls our identity, and it really turns into this self-limiting belief. But here's what I've come to learn over the years, and this is what I want to leave you guys with here today. What if the thing that you have actually been apologizing for your whole life turns out to be your greatest asset? So for this shy little recovering quiet girl, my voice, it turns out, is my greatest asset. And it is because of what I learned from being shy and what I learned from being quiet, and not in spite of it. And what I've learned over the many years of my corporate life and my entrepreneur life is that when I stopped fighting that, I stopped apologizing for those parts of myself that were just part of my story. That's when I realized that what I thought was a weakness really did turn out to be one of my greatest strengths. So being that shy girl, I don't know if you were shy, please let me know in the comments so I don't feel alone here. It was incredibly painful. It was torture. I was a girl hiding behind my mom, and I was terrified to talk to anybody. I specifically refused to call and order a pizza because that was like the worst, scariest thing that I can possibly imagine for some reason. But it taught me so many things that I definitely did not realize at the time. Being shy and quiet taught me to observe, to notice the things that people tend to miss. It taught me to reflect and to really think before I reacted to things. It taught me to listen and ask questions, and not just to respond, but really to understand what was going on. And it taught me to pause, to choose my words carefully because I knew that they mattered. And what I came to find out is these are not weaknesses. These are actually leadership skills. I just didn't know it at the time. So how did I learn to trust my voice? Okay, my senior year of college, I was thrown into the lion's den and I had to climb my way out. My law professor at the time accused me of cheating on an exam and threatened to get me expelled. I did not cheat on the exam, in case you were wondering, by the way, but that didn't really matter in the moment because whether I was right or wrong, my first instinct was not to defend myself. It was to apologize. It was to shrink, and it was to go quiet. It was to be the good girl and say nothing because that's who I basically had always been. And maybe you know what that feels like, that feeling when something doesn't feel right, but your instinct is not to go defend yourself. It's to make yourself smaller. So after she accused me, I went back to my seat and I sat there incredibly overwhelmed, trying not to cry, although I definitely did. And I tried to be invisible because my classmates were sitting around me and had just seen what had happened. But as I sat there, I remember this feeling of starting to get really angry, not the kind where I started to yell and go spar with the professor, but it made me get clear in my head because I knew that I was right. And so I did what quiet people are really good at. I observed the situation. I replayed everything in my head to figure out, how did we even get here? What did she go through to get here? What did I go through to get here? And I really thought it through deeply. But instead of emotionally reacting, I built a plan. And I think this is the part of the story that for me matters the most because it's not necessarily what I did next, but it was how I did it. So I did speak up. I took my plan and I went to the dean of the college and I made my case. The entire time, you guys, my voice was shaking like crazy. I was terrified because the stakes were really high here, right? But I did it anyways. And it turns out that the dean agreed. I was right. My professor was wrong. Not only did I not fail the test, I was not expelled. I ended up getting the highest grade in the class. And that same professor actually ended up writing me a recommendation that launched my corporate career. But that wasn't the real win, even though I would say not getting kicked out of college is definitely a win. The real win for me was, I think it was really the first time that I realized that my voice did not have to be loud. It did not have to be particularly strong to be powerful. I just had to be willing to use it. And I think a lot of us are waiting for that moment, until we feel fully ready, when the fear isn't there anymore, when we finally feel confident. But the thing is, it doesn't really work like that. You need the repetitions, you need the experience to gain the confidence. And you're not going to find your voice because things are feeling easy, that you're going to find it when it feels really freaking hard, but you decide to use it anyways. So when your voice shakes, you do get to choose, right? You get to choose whether to speak up or whether to stay quiet. This is me in my corporate career. I grew up in the 90s, guys, so I don't have a lot of selfies at the time. my college career was, or I'm sorry, my corporate career was in the early 2000s. And I was working for a large financial company at the time. That if you've worked for a large corporate entity, you know that there's a lot of rules. There are often like, this is just the way we do things. And that worked really well for me, being like a rule follower, good girl, right? I loved all of that. But after a while, I started to notice something. There was a gap in the company, in the department I worked at, where there was a role that didn't exist that really should have existed. And I knew two things at the same time. So I knew that we needed this role, and I also knew that I was the right person for it. But there was a little problem. It was not going to get handed to me on a silver platter, although I really would have loved that. I think that, you know, we often all are waiting for that moment. We want to be chosen. We want to be noticed. We want to be told that we are ready. But in this case, that wasn't going to happen. So I did what the quiet good girl does best. I observed, I researched, and I built my case. And I leaned on those that were in my corner that were also willing to go to bat for me on this. And then I asked for it. And not only did they end up creating the role, but I did get it. But the shift, I think, in that case, it really wasn't just getting the new role. It was when I started to see that if I want something, if I really, really want something, I have to be willing to ask for it, and I have to go after it hard. We cannot be afraid to ask for the things we want. And I think that we are definitely told, you know, from the time we are little through adulthood, right? Don't rock the boat, right? Don't make waves. And no one is really coming to save you. So we really do need to rock the boat. We really do need to make these waves, because we have a decision to make about whether we want to create our own path and go after it with everything we've got, or to sit there and just see how life happens. Okay, so the last story I'm going to share really quick, because I know I'm almost out of time here. It's not actually really about me at all, and it's not about my career. It was actually about my community. This is some of my community here. There was a situation a few years back where someone was making people in our community feel uncomfortable, and they were making kids feel unsafe. So for a long time, I just watched and observed. I observed the patterns of what was going on. I paid attention to the details, and I started to put the pieces together of the story of what was happening. And I also stayed quiet for quite a while, because this is my community. And so the thought of speaking up felt really uncomfortable. It was a huge risk. It was complicated, and it would definitely get messy. And to be honest, if I didn't say anything, it was going to be a lot easier for me. You might know that feeling, right? Where like something's not right, and you start doing that math in your head, and you're like, okay, is it even worth it to say anything? Because staying quiet is a lot easier and it's a lot safer. But I realized in that moment too, that staying silent and keeping my own peace also has a cost. And so I reached a point where for me, I wasn't willing to pay that cost anymore. So I did speak up in this situation in my community, and it cost me in other ways. I was threatened. I was intimidated. I was harassed in my own home. I received a cease and desist letter. It was insane, and I've never gone through anything like that before. Hopefully we'll never again. And also, I actually have, after time, had to come to this, but I have zero regrets about it, because I think what I learned, and at that point, what I started to know, is that we have our voices for a reason, and we cannot only use them when it's comfortable. We have to use them when it matters. And I knew in this case that I had done the work, and I trusted myself. I knew what needed to be said, and I knew I was capable of saying it. And what I want for you to take from this is, we have a lot of battles in our life, right? There's so many things coming at us, but we have to pick the ones that matter, and we have to choose to speak up. I think, kind of similar to what I was saying before, we are taught to be nice, to not rock the boat, right? We're taught to avoid confrontation. We're taught to be peacemakers. But that just leads us to avoiding difficult things and conversations and moments that still need to happen in our lives. And there's going to be times where you are faced with those difficult moments, and you're going to have to decide, do I take that easy path? Do I stay quiet? Or do I use my voice, even though it feels really freaking hard? So I'm going to go back to this question. What if the thing you've been apologizing for your whole life is actually your greatest asset? What if your perceived weakness has actually been preparing you? What if while you've been trying to make it like disappear, or hoping it'll change, or trying to ignore it, it's actually what is going to make your voice worth listening to? I did not find my voice, you might notice this, I don't know, by becoming this really loud and outgoing person. That's not me. I found it because I learned to trust myself, to trust that what I say actually matters. And I stopped letting my fears stop me from going after what I wanted or stop me from doing what I knew was right. So maybe for you, the goal is not to change who you are, to become someone different. Maybe it's just to learn to trust that what you have, those gifts that you were given, are there for a reason, to use them, to stop apologizing for them, and to speak even when it feels uncomfortable. So I know I'm out of time here. I want to thank you guys for being here, and thank you to the Mimo marketing team. I'm so grateful for your time. And if you would like to come find me, there's my Instagram right there. You can also find me on Substack at The Rewrite Letters. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Katie. Oh my gosh, that was absolutely epic. Did I have a breakthrough? Yes. I hope. I've been seeing some breakthroughs in the comments, so that's great to see. I would love to take just like a quick second before we move on to the next thing to just kind of take a minute to write down, what is the thing that you've been apologizing for? You don't have to put it in the comments. You can know it in your heart. You can write it down on a piece of paper just to really reflect on what that is. I would love for everyone to know what their superpower is. I know for me, I have forever apologized for always taking lead on things. I have forever apologized for wanting to be the person, the group project leader, the plan leader. And as a grown-up, I have come to realize that it is my superpower. I love leading projects. I love coming up with ideas. And even better than that being my superpower, I've found that it also brought me into circles of people that not only appreciated that superpower, but whose superpowers also complemented that, who are like idea people and go-getters and heck yeah, that sounds awesome. And, you know, could co-captain things with me. So I challenge you to explore that in yourself. So we've questioned the rules. We've found our voice. I know the next guest that we have is absolutely a superpowered badass, in my personal opinion. Superpower being audacity. Our second guest gets real about what it takes to tell the stories nobody wants told, build power in rooms that you were not invited into, and never apologize for being the woman asking the hard questions. For her, audacity isn't optional. Kim's going to tell you why. And since Kim is unable to join us today, we actually pre-recorded our chat, so we'll still have this conversation. Just a really quick warning, be warned that the session does have a trigger warning on SA. So if that is a sensitive topic for you, you can pop out for a few minutes and then come back in 10 minutes, and let's dive in. Decades covering Hollywood, one of the most notorious boys' club in existence. So what was it like being the woman in the room asking the questions that nobody else wanted to ask?
You know, I didn't think of myself as being the woman. I thought of myself as being the reporter.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd credit my father in particular, my parents both, but my father, first of all, was, you know, he had been a commando in World War II and invaded Normandy, and he was not put in this world to take a lot of shit from people. And he taught me not to take shit from people either. I can think of so many instances in my career where I was with a guy, like there was a point where I was partnered with a guy at the Washington Post and we were covering this scandal. And he was like, we were at a press conference and he was kind of, you go ahead. You just go ahead and ask the questions. He's like almost literally hiding behind me because it just takes that, you know, I tell people when I talk to, I used to, you know, talk to the interns at The Hollywood Reporter or students, you know, you have to, if you're going to do what I do, it has to come from the heart. You have to decide that you're going to be that person. You have to decide that you're going to just grit your teeth and ask the question. Because if you don't have that in your makeup, you're not going to be able to, I mean, you're just not going to be able to do it. It's not for everybody. And, but for me, you know, the fact that I have always had that willingness to I mean, I don't like people to think they can lie to me. I take it as a personal insult. If you think you're going to lie to me, you're basically saying you think I am stupid and I'm going to believe your lie, or I'm scared and I'm going to pretend to believe your lie. So I don't care for it, and there's just something in me that is like, nope. And the most extreme example was later when I first met Harvey Weinstein, and it was at the Peninsula. We were having lunch. There were these two publicists, and Harvey came in yelling and screaming. I had not met him, but I'd written something he didn't like. And this was years ago, 20 plus years ago at this point. And he said, "What have you heard? Why do you write that I'm a bully?" He's screaming. And I'm like, and he said, "What have you heard about me?" And I had heard that he had raped women. I couldn't prove it at the time, get it past our legal gatekeepers, but I figured this is it, now or never. And I said, "I've heard you rape women." So, um, yeah, I have to hand it to him. He kind of did not like lose it in the moment. He said, "Well, sometimes you have sex with a woman and later she says it wasn't consensual and you have to write a check," which sounds a lot like yes to me. It was all off the record lunch. But, I mean, was I rejoicing that I'm about to say this to this man? No. But it felt like if I'm not going to say it, I'm never going to be able to say it. I mean, I need to say it. I just have that in me. And I don't think it's a gender thing for me. I mean, I've seen, as I said, men who can't do it, women who can't do it, and the ones who can. And they can be men or women. It's just a question of how much, are you willing to pretend to not know something when you do. And I didn't feel I had a lot of female mentors, like a lot, coming up. I've never even taken a class in journalism, so I had to be taught everything, and I'm always grateful to all of them, and mostly female. It wasn't the guys, but I never, weirdly maybe, never thought that I was facing a discrimination problem in these places where I worked until I got to the Washington Post, and not even then, not right away. And with dealing with sources, honestly, they were men mostly, like overwhelmingly. So I sort of thought it's an advantage, It's they don't mind having lunch with a young, especially young, young woman who they felt like could be smart, maybe a little funny, just make it not like a interrogation session, but get to know you. I mean, that's, to me, getting to know the source and getting them to be comfortable and getting them to trust you. That's the game, right? And so I hate to say it in a way, but being a woman to me was an advantage. And when I first started thinking that's not an advantage there was a period at the Post where my editor was a guy, and I realized that he was going out to all these lunches with a bunch of other guys, and that assignments were being given, like they were talking about ideas and there were assignments, and I was never invited. And that was the first time I thought I'm really being disadvantaged at this place, as a woman. But it was this particular editor who was kind of in that bro space. And that's what I still feel sometimes, even now, when men get to being into the bro space, it's not so good for women. It's they exclude, and there's a sort of honestly, there's a little bit of a belittling of women. And I feel for women who are in that environment 24/7, because it's terrible. And I'd say get out of that environment if you can. It's just not, you're fighting prejudice, and the prejudice is not to be reasoned with. It is what it is.
Yeah, I think that is such an important message, because I think on one side of things, at least what I've experienced, there's so much conversation around, well, if that's the environment you're in, you just need to try harder. You just need to practice these extra skill sets. Like as a woman, you now need to like compensate for being in that situation, when in reality, and it's what I've done in my career as well, like I've just left. And I don't know if it's just maybe like a fortunate amount of hubris on my end of just like, I don't need this. I know that I am talented, and I will work somewhere where that's respected. And I think that little bit of self-reflection and doing what you need to do to be in like a good headspace and a healthy environment is actually better advice than just being like, well, here, if you take on 10 extra skills,
Yeah,
then your
no, you
environment will
can't.
be better. They're not changing.
They
Yeah.
are what they are. Yeah.
So looking back at your career thus far, in terms of emotional intelligence, in terms of being able to stand your ground, you feel like that came from being a woman?
I think it came from being my parents' kid. My parents were both escaped the Holocaust. And again, my dad, who, but I wouldn't say, it's not about being fearless. It's about overcoming your fear to do the thing you know you're
Mhm.
supposed to do. And he taught that to me, and I really got the memo on that. Just fear is not a way to live.
For the women watching right now, so many of them feel like the system's working against them, either because there's a boy club or they're in an industry that's predominantly male, or, they're seeing one of the many different versions of kind of what you've experienced. So what do you want her to know? If you can tell her right now, she's in the thick of it, she's trying to move forward in her career, what do you want her to know?
Well, I would say what we said before. If you're in a boys' club, forget it. I mean, maybe, you could give it a shot to see whether you can kind of get them to understand that they're assholes. But if that's their identity and how they, express their insecure manhood, you're not going to be able to reason with them. So work or get away from them. I mean, get assigned somewhere else if you're leave. And that comes from believing in yourself and also doing good work and taking your work seriously and doing it well. If the key to success, and the reason I'm still marketable, even though most journalists my age they can't wait to get rid of you, is because of I do my job well. And not it's honestly not that many people do. I mean, a lot of people just either are punching a clock, which is okay, I guess, but not me. Or don't have the skills. Or I mean, I'm sure you've all had the same experience. You encounter people who you just are like, how do you even have this job when you clearly don't have a clue? And
Mm-hmm.
so you take yourself seriously, do your job well, and if you know that you're doing your job well, have that confidence. But what I'm really talking about is go that extra yard to do that job properly and make it clear. If you do your job really well, you will stand out.
Do you feel like you found support in being able to have a community around you? I know you talked about, some of your earlier mentors also being women. Do you feel like you gained something from having that support there?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I had a source years and years ago. I was at that publication with this psycho boss, and I had a source who was a really, really important source, very high up in this agency that I was covering. He was the vice chairman. I knew he had a crush on me, to be honest. I'm not going to lie. He more than had a crush on me, but that wasn't my problem, right? I mean, I
Mhm.
just was doing my job. And I wrote I forget what I did. It was pursuing a story, and he got really mad. And boy, he yelled at me like I was not expecting from him at all. And it was one of the only occasions I can think of, because I have been yelled at by the best. But in that case, years ago, a little more vulnerable, I cried. And I went to my boss, who was this very tough woman, and she knew this guy very well too. And she was like instantly furious with him because he made me cry. And she called him up to yell at him, and then he made her cry.
My gosh.
And I thought, you know, she went to bat for me. And by crying, she proved that I am not such a weenie for crying, that this guy really knows how to make people cry. So that was a really meaningful moment for me, to see that I wasn't the only one, and that, it happens. I mean, it hasn't happened since,
Mhm.
but it's not fun, but you have
Mhm.
to grit your teeth and get through it. That's all. I mean, just my agent said to me once, somebody said about my agent, I was asking, should I take this agent? And they said, well, she grits her teeth and she asks for the money. And I feel like that gritting your teeth thing is a good thing. Like when I asked Harvey, I heard you rape women, I grit my teeth and I ask the question, even if it really
Mhm.
kills me. It's not, it's important not to understand it's not always fun, but you just have to do the job. And if you have to grit your teeth, you grit your teeth.
I love that. That's fantastic advice. Well, thank you again so much for taking the time
My
to speak with
pleasure.
me.
All
Okay.
right. Bye-bye.
All right. So that was Kim Masters, y'all. So Kim Masters has certainly earned her spot at the top of the journalism industry. If it wasn't clear enough, why? Can I be her when I grow up, please? I don't know. I feel like I'm on my way there, maybe a little bit. I think maybe Cheyenne Lauren would be able to attest a little bit. For saying what I want and doing what I want. And I definitely say motherhood had a lot to do with that for me. My patience for non-important bullshit is like at a all-time low. And the mama bear instincts that come with having a little one are definitely no joke. So our next guest knows all about that. So Erica, hi, is on her third startup. She has 2 kids and competed on Gordon Ramsay's Food Stars. So for you Food Network bingers such as myself, in this session, we're going to get real about raising money, redefining ambition, and why the mass mom exodus from corporate America might just be the beginning of something bigger. Hey, Erica, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you for having me, Jen.
Yeah,
What an
of
amazing
course.
group of speakers, by the way. I'm so impressed.
Yes, we are in truly a good company. I'm super stoked, especially on this topic. It's one that's so close to home for me. I think I'm in a new era of motherhood. I know when we first met, I had like a fresh baby, and now I have a toddler.
Yes, I know.
So I'm super excited to dive in with you. So this session's called More Than a Mother, and so I'm curious to know, you're a serial entrepreneur.
Yes.
On your third startup,
Yes.
mom, twice over, reality TV finalist, board member at Northwestern. So like, what does More Than a Mother actually mean to you personally?
That's an amazing question. And I think, so many of us, when we become a parent, we define ourselves as that before we define ourselves as anything else. And that's understandable. I do think of myself as a mom first because I prioritize my children above all else. But I think it's so important to maintain a semblance of yourself, a semblance of your old self, right? And I want my kids to know who that woman is, right? I don't want them to only see me in one way, right? And even if you don't work outside the home, there's still ways in which your personality and who you are, your morals, your background, your resume, if you will, your history in the world, that's all something your kids should see. That's what kids should know. And it's inspiring to them. We have like little built-in admirers, so teach them about yourself. Tell them what you've done, because you're more than one title. And I always try to remember that, because I think I'm a happier person having things that I love outside of my children, and they get to see me have a passion, and they get to see me, do what I love and work really, really hard. And I think that kids learn, by example, and I'm trying to do my best, just to set the example of who I want them to become, in the world. So I don't
For
think
me, like,
working is they're not mutually exclusive.
For sure. And I think, on that point, I admire so much about you that you built global, right? Inspired by your kids like that. No kids, no global. Like,
Right. That's very
which
true.
is wild.
Yes.
And I think it's so special to be able to, like, I imagine from perspective, right? Like, I think it must be so special to be able to like look at your kids and be like, hey, like, you inspired this, like your existence, like just you being you in the world,
Yes.
like brought this thing into the world. And that's so cool. I don't know. I think that's so fun.
It's so cool. And I will say, like, even one thing I learned, and I didn't mean to learn it, I just kind of naturally did it. But what I've told other working parents is, or even female founders or mom founders, is instead of, it being me or work versus I should say work or global versus my children, I've brought them into the business. They come with me to almost everything. My son was selling our baby food when he was 3 years old at street festivals in Chicago. Like, how do you say no to that little face? So it was like a double whammy. That was a good win for us too. But, just like at the dinner table at night, how many jars of baby food did we sell today? They feel like they're part of it. And that has really helped, like, keep my family, like, unified, on board with what I'm doing instead of feeling competitive with it. I never, I really try never to miss anything important for my children. But if I do, they understand and they're not upset, because it's kind of like, she's doing this for us, So that's something I think I've done right in this whole, like, parenting plus entrepreneurship at the same time sort of journey.
Sure. I'd be curious to know, so how do you coach other women to mind their own mom moments, kind of like how you did in your picky eating journey, right? How do you coach those mom moments for business ideas for people wanting to start their own?
Like, how to nurture ideas that they're having, or yeah, I mean, I would say passion is an amazing, wonderful thing. And it's been the impetus for a lot of innovation. But it has to go a little bit beyond that. I've done 2 other companies before this one, and I said I would not do another one. It's really hard and it's very unstable, right? There's a lack of stability involved in a startup at the beginning and growing that startup. So passion is number one, and it's usually the impetus for the idea, but then do the research, and spend time in the space. Spend time, for me, learning from other moms in Facebook groups or my own friends and surveys that I would send to my friends, hey, is this something you might be interested in? Or what are your main concerns when it comes to feeding your child? Like, so that I could make sure that it's not just me, it's not just my passion, that there are others out there who need or want what it is that you're looking to do. And so I would say it's a combo of passion, have that, please, because you can tell when a founder doesn't. But combine that with the research, the analysis. In my case, it was a lot of studies, medical studies, scientific research on early allergen introduction and how is the best way to, this science-based feeding methods, all these things. So I would just say it's kind of a combo of, this personal sort of, you can't put your finger on it, passion and need to do it, combined with the chops behind it, which would be the data sort of backs this all up, or the science or whatever it is in your field backs this up. Now I have a winning sort of idea, and then execution comes into play, and that's a whole other story, but that's after.
I would love to know from your perspective. So, like, moms, I mean, it's just what it is. Moms predominantly feel guilty for being ambitious, for going out and doing all the things, like wanting whatever, a business, wanting to be a CEO, wanting success in a different domain means that they want their kids less. So how do you feel like you can flip that narrative?
So the way I kind of described it with my own kids, I want them to see an ambitious mom, because I want them to be ambitious little people, and I also have a daughter. I don't want her thinking that if she wants, she can't go forth and do this thing, or she can't go forth and be in the room where that happens. No, she absolutely can, and she can lead the charge. And so I want to lead by example. I want my son, my son, actually, this was years ago. He's 9 now, but he literally said to me something along the lines of like, oh, but that guy's a CEO. I thought women were CEOs. Like, it was that kind of thing. And, right or wrong, that is, I think little boys and little girls, like, they need to grow up having those examples. And so for the fact that my son actually thinks people like me are running things is amazing. And I want him to keep thinking that, supporting the women in his life, as he grows up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope I answered that question.
That's amazing. Yes, you did. I think that's so incredible. Oh, I hope my daughter says that to me. I want us to
Oh,
just be in the world and her be like, Mom, I thought only girls were CEOs. Ew.
I know, I love that he's my boy too.
That
It's
is
like,
something that I would much rather correct.
Yeah.
So last one, I would love if you could just finish the sentence, whatever the vibe is in
Okay.
you. So being a mother has made me a better CEO because
it's not removing that part of who I am. There's no resentment I don't have resentment for my business, because I'm a mom, and I don't have resentment for my kids because I'm an entrepreneur and a founder. So it's balanced, and balance is a touchy word, and we can talk about that. It makes me feel like I'm being true to myself.
Yeah,
And a better
I love
mom.
that.
Yeah.
I'll say for myself, even with Mimo being a mom, I think has made me a better, founder, part CEO, in that I have so much more emotional intelligence. I have so much less patience for silly things on my docket.
Yeah.
Like I can prioritize like I never could before.
Yes.
I will make the most out of 10 minutes.
Yes. The patience level is like near the floor if it's not, worth it. It's like you actually, as a mom and an entrepreneur, like I am much more like I allow myself to say no. It's like, no, like, I've got all this happening. Like I can't say yes to that, and I also think that's a good example to set for kids, is that they can't be everything to everyone. And they shouldn't have to be, So yeah.
I love that so much. It has been such a joy, as always, to speak with you. Thank you so
It's
much
really an
for
honor to
joining
be
our
here.
session.
Thank you. Really, thank you.
Thank you, Erica.
Thank you.
All right. So we talked about success in motherhood and being a totally badass CEO, woman, mom, all of the things. And I know for myself, I tend to feel at capacity sometimes. And we kind of talked about the balance being the tricky word. So I'm going to go into it. Let's get into the tricky thing. I hate to admit it, but it feels like finding the capacity in myself to show up 100% for my little one, to show up 100% in my business and investment, to show up 100% for my clients and my husband and me. 100% for me. Did I drink enough water today? Absolutely not. Most days, also probably not. And can I get an amen in the chat if this is also you? So I feel a little bit less alone. But that kind of capacity it's rough to manage and to build. And I'd like to believe that we all have it within ourselves. But our next guest has built her audience by saying the things that people feel but don't know how to articulate, just like me. Her work blends neuroscience, somatic practices, and real life application so people can stop white knuckling their lives and start operating from a regulated, grounded place. With almost 1 million followers, you might know her as Instagram's fuck nugget lady. I know her as Sarai, a nervous system coach and speaker who cuts through the bullshit and burnout and quote unquote high performance. She built $1 million salon, and an education business over 20 years, only to hit a wall with no strategy, discipline, or mindset that could fix it. So her body forced that conversation. And I know I've been there as well. And that's where her work began. She's the creator of the HELD method and now teaches what most people are missing. Your habits are not the problem. I'll say it again. Your habits aren't the problem. Your nervous system is running the show. This is Sarai Spear.
Well, that was a hell of an introduction. I'm not sure what to do with that. But thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. So have you ever woken up and before you even open your eyes, you're still half asleep, your blanket's pulled up, and your body's like, yo, bitch, something is not right here. You get up and you go and you check the thermostat and you look and it's 58 degrees, 14 Celsius. Okay. And instantly you're like, I'm in a bad mood. I'm in a bad mood. This sucks. Have you ever woken up on the opposite where you're sweating, your blankets are on the floor? And I'm not just talking about menopause or perimenopause here either, but your hair is like stuck to your face. You walk out and you're like, who made this the inside of a crock pot? It's 90 freaking degrees in here. And everybody in that house is literally one comment away from catching a case. Yeah. So that I want to talk about how our internal thermostat changes how we see ourselves. So our nervous system works exactly like that thermostat. You have a range where you feel good, you feel steady, you feel connected, you can think, you can trust your own judgment. Let's call this baseline 72 degrees, okay? Now, this is something that I feel like a lot of women struggle with. We feel like we have a confidence problem. It's not a confidence problem. It's a capacity problem. Capacity is how much your system can hold before it starts freaking the hell out, before it starts trying to protect you. Pressure, attention, responsibility, uncertainty, being seen by people who aren't your dog. And at some point, your system goes, no, bitch, this is too much. We got to bring this back down. I don't want to do this. So maybe it's before you post something on Instagram. Maybe it's you speaking up in a room instead of staying quiet, like you promised yourself you wouldn't do that again. Maybe it's you going after something that you've gone after before. None of it is dangerous, right? Like logically, we know that none of this is going to end our life, but our nervous system does not run on logic. It runs on familiar versus unfamiliar. And unfamiliar reads in your brain as risky. It reads as a threat. So your body reacts to that. Your chest gets tight. Your thoughts speed up. You start second guessing everything. You want to pull back. You want to shrink. You want to disappear. Your thermostat is kicking on. And it's trying to get you back to the temperature that you know. So if you've seen me on Instagram, I have these cute little characters. I think they're adorable anyway. The way that I talk about the nervous system and the brain and the body, I felt like when I was getting certified and taking all these courses, you'd have a fucking PhD to figure this out. And I'm like, this is not how it should be. So what I've done is I've made every system in your body and your brain when it comes to the nervous system into these cute little characters. So I wanted to introduce you to two of them today. And I promise I'm not going to go deep into the science, but I'm such a nerd. So we have a little almond-shaped structure in our brain called Amy. Now, Amy is your amygdala, Amy G. Dalla. See what I did there? But I'll bump. Okay. So Amy is essentially running in the background all day. You don't even know she's working. Her head is on a swivel. She's scanning for danger 24/7. So not only does Amy scan for physical danger, she scans for social risk too. Judgment, rejection, failure in front of people, being perceived, being seen. And when Amy flags something, your stress response goes up. So when this happens, your body is flooded with cortisol, adrenaline. But what's also happening is this cute little babe over here, Carla. Carla is our prefrontal cortex, the space of logic, decision-making, the part of your brain that goes, hey, mama, maybe we should think this through. Well, when Amy is freaking out, Carla can't be online at the same time. So your thinking actually changes because your nervous system shifted temperature. Now, don't get mad at Amy, okay? Don't drag her through the mud. She is just doing her job, and she does it really, really well. Now, this is where imposter syndrome shows up. You know that space of, I don't belong here. I can't do this. I'm not ready. Everybody's going to figure out that I have absolutely no idea how I got here, and it's only a matter of time before I lose my job. So the thing is that these thoughts, they come in your own voice, right? It's not like some cartoon villain going, wah, ha, ha, ha. It's you saying it to you, and you are saying it with full conviction, full authority. So of course you believe it. And most people take those thoughts at face value for their entire lives. They don't build as much as they should. They stay quieter than they want to be. They wait until they feel ready, which, hello, fucking spoiler alert, is never. Because the thermostat keeps pulling them back every single time they get close to something real. So I want to ask you, how many times have you talked yourself out of doing something? A conversation, an opportunity, a version of yourself that you actually wanted? How many times have you told yourself, I'm not ready? How long have you been listening to that? That's not your gut. That's not wisdom. That is your nervous system. That's Amy doing her job to protect you. And anything that is new, that is unfamiliar, feels unsafe. So imposter syndrome is not a personality flaw. It's not evidence that you don't belong in this room. It's your thermostat trying to turn the temperature back down. And yes, the thoughts are real. They feel like information. They feel like warnings from somebody who knows you. They're not warnings, they're temperature readings. So when you feel your imposter syndrome creeping up, which I'm pretty sure every single woman in this room right now at some point in their life has fucking felt that imposter syndrome. So the first thing that I do is I get this shit out of my head. Okay. So I like to say it out loud, whether it is there's somebody in the room, whether it's my dogs, whether it's my husband, whether it's I'm voice noting into my phone, it does not matter. Okay. Because the second that that thought leaves your head, it hits the outside world and it starts to lose power. It stops being a conviction and it starts being something that you can look at. So first I get it out. The next thing I do is I move the fucking energy in my body. I'm talking, one of my favorite things to do is dance around this living room you see behind me like a moron. I do not care. 3 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it takes. You shake, you hum, you breathe, you walk around the block because you need to move that energy. And after I've spoken it, after I've moved that energy, I let it settle for a bit and I ask myself 2 questions. Feel free to screenshot these. What is actually true here that I can back up with real evidence? Real evidence, I said. And what is Amy being a psycho about? Because some of what your brain is telling you is real information, and some of it is temperature. And when you are regulated enough to tell the difference, that is when you make the call. That's when you decide, and that is when you move. So I want to talk about temperatures. These are what I call the 3 zones. So zone 1, this is when we're in range. Let's say it's a balmy, lovely 72 degrees. This is when you feel like yourself. You make a decision and you trust it. You have a hard conversation and you don't spiral for 3 days afterwards. You do something bold, and instead of immediately wanting to undo it, you feel good about it. You know this feeling. You've had it before. Maybe not as often as you want, but that's home zone. Zone 2. This is when it's too cold, when you wake up and it's 58 fucking degrees in your house and you're like, oh my God, this sucks. This is when you go quiet. You start to pull back. You start to isolate. You stop responding to messages. You stop letting yourself have ideas. You feel flat. You feel heavy. You're frozen. And the thing is that this can look a lot like, and I'm air quoting fine, if you're not paying attention. This is actually shut down because your system has decided that the world outside is too damn much and I need to protect myself. Zone 3 is when it's too damn hot. It's 90 degrees. This is what I call the rotisserie chicken stage. And you know exactly what this feels like. So everything feels really, really urgent. Every decision feels like it has catastrophic consequences. You're rereading a text that you sent 6 hours trying to figure out if you've ruined this relationship. You're laying in bed, going through the mental reel of everything that you've ever messed up since 2004. Nothing feels really clear here. And this is the thing that your brain is going to tell you that this is the moment you need to figure it out. You need to push through. You need to make the call. You need to send the email. Do not do that. Please do not do that. This is where you regulate first, then you decide. So we've talked about the 3 zones, and I want to give you a couple just super easy, quick regulation tools. And I feel like I'm almost out of time. I'm a talker. So the way to bring ourselves out of that 58 degrees or that 90 degrees is through regulation. And I'm not giving you a 10-step morning routine because, ladies, we do not need any more complicated shit put on our plates, right? So the first thing that we are going to do, this is something that I teach all of my coaching clients. It's something, if you follow me on Instagram, you've probably seen me do it 1,000 times. It's the slow exhale. What this does is it cues to your parasympathetic nervous system, the space of rest and digest, that you're okay. So you're going to breathe in through your nose for a count of 4, 3, 2, 1, and out for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're going to do that 3 times. So what this does is it helps slow your heart rate and it helps your prefrontal cortex, Miss Carla, come back online, and Amy gets the message, we're not being chased. The second tool, I love this one so much. I always feel so silly and stupid when I do it, but it works. So it's just shaking your hands. Shake your hands. Once you start shaking your hands, then maybe you let your body get into it. Let your knees bounce. Do this for 30 seconds to a minute. The interesting thing about this is animals do this automatically after a threat. They shake the stress out of their bodies. The third tool, humming. This is a direct note to your vagus nerve, Miss Vega. Hey, we're cool. We're not being chased by bears. We're not actually in a crisis. So if you can hum any sound, ha, if you make voo sound, your body cannot stay in full panic mode while you are humming. It is physiologically incapable, okay? And the last tool is to put both of your feet on the floor, press them into the ground. Feel the ground press back. Look around the room and just name 5 things that you can see. Because what you have just done in these little tools is you have told your nervous system, I'm here, I'm in my body, I'm a room, and I'm not actually in danger. So instead of you saying, what's wrong with me? What the fuck is wrong with me? What I want you to ask from now on is, what temperature am I at right now? And that shift will change because you're not diagnosing yourself as something that needs to be fixed. You're reading your system like an intelligent, self-aware person. If you're outside your range, I don't want you to try to force better thoughts, right? I want you to go, where am I and how can I adjust the temperature first? And I want to tell you something about capacity that really, really matters, is that capacity is not built in a crisis. You don't expand your nervous system's range when you are in a crisis and hoping for the best. That's not how it works. Capacity gets built through ordinary moments. The Tuesday morning when nothing's on fire and you still do the thing. The slow exhale that you take before you don't actually need it. The 2 minutes of shaking it out in your kitchen before you sit down to work. That's what builds capacity. It's repetition, it's consistency. It's these small, unglamorous daily acts of tending to your own nervous system before you hit 58 degrees or you hit that 90 degrees. And we have a special, will get my nervous system toolkit. It will be sent out to you. And this is just, again, it's not something that I want you to add to your plate and stack it on. It's just things that you can do when you're sitting there and maybe before you reach for your phone to scroll, you go, let me do some quick deep breath. Let me do this thing. When you do this work over time, and I can attest to this because I was a nut job psychopath running $1 million business, working 60, 80, 100 hours a week. I had no capacity. And when I started doing this work, the things that wrecked me 6 months ago, I can handle. What made me want to disappear for 3 to 5 business days, I can now handle. When we stop making decisions from fear and start being grounded in our body, when you start doing that, I'm telling you, your whole world will change. So the next time your brain tells you you're not ready, you can't do this, and Amy starts pulling the fire alarm, check in with yourself. Check your temperature because your thoughts are not always true. The temperature is information and regulation is the work. And I promise you that your life will change when you stop taking advice from your brain at 90 degrees and you start making those decisions when you're at that 72 space. Thank you all so much for allowing me to be here. I know I ran over on time. I'm so sorry.
You're
I'm
good.
so sorry. Hopefully nobody minded too much. Okay, good.
Totally worth it. Thank you so much, Sarai.
Thank you.
I know for myself, I'm a rotisserie chicken like a lot of the time. What's happening? I will say, I will throw in there, it's not an official tool, but as we were talking about the humming and some of like the different tools that we can utilize, I realized that something I do when I'm really overwhelmed as a mom, specifically, because that tends to be, balancing all the things feels overwhelming sometimes. Instead of humming, we're a big musical family. So I sing and dance, the thing that I'm freaking out about, and very much in tune of if I put it out there, it no longer has power. Everything is peachy keen after I sing it. And it does look like me doing jazz hands with my little one. She does now know to sing her feelings sometimes, which is pretty awesome to see a toddler do. But it's been so great in being able to, regulate their nervous system. And huge fan of Soraya. I will say this is not sponsored, but like nervous system coach wise, I just the freaking best, or should I say the fucking best? Yeah, like I saw so many comments from people also sharing the rotisserie chicken stage, and I'm glad now that we've taken a moment to regulate. Hopefully you did some of the breathing, you were able to hum. I know I saw some of our team backstage doing the shake it out method, which I totally approve of on the Taylor Swift spectrum. Let's learn about setting boundaries to keep us feeling good. So our last guest cuts through the noise on the real tensions ambitious women face. Like versus respected, visible versus overexposed, high performing versus running on empty. So she's going to share how to move up without burning out, set boundaries without being penalized, and stay strategic in a workplace that keeps shifting under your feet. Let's welcome career coach, Latina icon, and corporate baddie, Diana Falcon.
Thanks, love. It is so fun to see you stepping into your power, one as a mom and one as a co-founder. So I'm really inspired to be here with you today. I'm really, really proud of you.
Thank you. Y'all don't know, but Diana and I go way back. So this is like, stop, I'm going to get all in my feelings. But there's a reason we wanted to bring you here today as well. And Diana saw me actually early in my career and was very much the person that I would call as a coach to kind of guide me through. She was a mentor for me long before she even became a coach, which is really wild. So I'm really excited to see you. I mean, continuing to just be an actual badass all of the time. I'm curious to know, so climbing the corporate ladder in heels, as we'll call it, what does that mean to you in 2026? What does that ladder look like even?
I don't know about you guys, but Google corporate ladder right now. It is not, men with a briefcase just going up. Like the imagery that's in the world about corporate ladders is just so outdated and so old school. And I think I also really regret not wearing heels today, now hearing that question. But I really think the moment that we are at in a society on planet Earth, I like to think about us like we're on a spinning rock in space, right? Like really zoom out and look at it. I think women, we're not scared of an incline. I think we're stronger when we have just that little bit of resistance. And I think women on planet Earth are uniquely positioned to lead in the transformation that we're on as a society. And I think we're really ready for it when we create the space to step into our power. And as a Latina and as a woman, I'm really excited about going to see Karol G in Coachella because I'm a huge fan. I don't know if any of you all are Karol G fans. But when she won the Woman of the Year award, I was like bawling, crying, you guys. She said something about, why didn't God make me a man? Because I have so much ambition. And she's like, but you know what? Let me show you how a woman does it. And she's like, let me show you how a woman builds. And that gave me so much inspiration because I do think there's a lot of resistance on our species. I don't know why, but I think we're game to go on an incline. That's what I think a corporate ladder is for women.
I love that. So I 100% feel like so much of it is just like outside voices, and we could go into like, I could get on my soapbox all day about where the voices, but we're going to just go with, there's a lot of outside voices, I think, that build into kind of the
Well
box
said.
that we're in. So a lot of ambitious women currently feel like they have to choose between being like liked or respected at work. I know I personally have been in the bubble of like, oh, you should be more bubbly and smiley and like, and like, that's not my vibe all the time. Like when I feel bubbly, smiley, I am bubbly, smiley, but like my face naturally is, and it doesn't mean I'm mad. It's just
like
my
written
face,
on your
guys.
face.
It's just, that's just my face. So how do you coach clients to navigate that being liked versus respected kind of feeling in a workplace?
At the end of the day, you have to like live with your soul. You wake up with your soul, you go to sleep with your soul, and staying authentic to you, agnostic of the noise. I love how you put that. Keeps your sense of identity tied to your values, tied to like who you are, not your title, not what you do for work, like who you are as a human. And I spoken from experience, liked versus respected, right? It's this balance that you have to find. And I think women like the crew you've all created, because I was in the chat. It's bold women trying new things, breaking glass ceilings. Like, so that's in essence, you're innovating. You're building something that hasn't existed before. And when you're at the forefront of your industry, it creates ripple effects of impact. Some people can handle that velocity. Some people can't. And you have to decide what you let in and what you don't. You're going to come across a lot of people at work. You might like them, you might not. You might respect them, you might not. But the way what you can control is how you show up. And by you respecting others, agnostic if they respect back, I've seen that gets reciprocated back. When you lead from that place of intention and respect, then it comes back to you. And then, not everyone's every other's flavor of tea, right? Like, and that's okay. But I think when you show up and you show that you're prepared and like, all the things, then the respect comes back tenfold. But it's real talk, ladies. There's going to be people that don't like you, and that's okay. That's okay.
I love that. I feel like it's not, you were talking about it. I feel like the velocity piece, like there's not a linear path to these things. I will share that now. And probably my piece of advice to everybody is please do not expect a linear path to things, especially not at a high velocity. Mistakes are made. So what's the number one, potentially, in your opinion, career mistake that you see talented women make when they're trying to move up in their career, and how do they recover from that?
Number one mistake, hands down, is shape-shifting. Shape-shifting to the mold, shape-shifting to the rules, and giving up. Just like, okay, I'll shrink. Okay, I'll shrink. Real talk, I'm there right now.
That's fair.
And I'm going on vacation to rest and have a lot of boundaries. I think as a woman, we're building for something bigger than ourselves. Every time my circle, like it's for a bigger thing. It's not like the project for the check the box to do the thing. It's like to change the world, or like to like cure cancer. Like, it's always meta. And I just see women get into spaces and then they shrink. Their light kind of turns off.
Mm-hmm.
And that sucks when you see it, when it's happening to you and you feel it. So a lot of people call it burnout. I love the way Sarah was talking about it. Like, what's the thermostat? And like, how are you gonna change it? So the way to fix it for me, the advice I would give is to create a lot of self-care and a lot of boundaries. So y'all, I have like the thing in the shower that heats my towel $60 on Amazon. Highly recommend. I do the salt bath pods that I put in the shower every morning. I'm spawing it up with eucalyptus. Like, I subscribe and save. Like, it's just, you know, or I listen to sound healing on my drive home to like disconnect from all of the critical thinking, or I call my nephew. You know, like, it's, you got to find the joy, and you got to create space to not like overstimulate yourself, because we're already overstimulated. So for me, like, I do not play with my self-care. And it's integrated in every fabric of my life. And you still get tired. It's what happens. So you got to create space for rest. So I have a 2-week vacation to Japan coming up. So if any of you have tips for Tokyo, Kyoto, Hiroshima, Osaka, or Mount Fuji, please drop in the chat, because I am flying out on Thursday with my husband for 2 weeks. So that's a big thing I'm doing for a boundary for me to recover. I'm a little tired right now.
I hear that. I hear that so much. And I think to Kim's note earlier, like, you deserve the most. So heck yeah, take that time. You do you. And I think that speaks so much, especially right now. We get so much feedback. I know, at least in my DMs, they do on workplace shifting so quickly right now, between remote work into hybrid work into AI workers, layoffs, quiet quitting, loud leaving, all of the things.
There's so many trends.
Protecting your energy and staying strategic and all of that, I think, you know, to your point, does really come down to your self-care first. It's not, here's 10 more skills to somehow magically have more energy to do the things and not be burnt out. So I love that so much.
Did you know that no flower on planet Earth blooms 365?
I love that. You guys, that's the thing to write down on the notes that we told you to take. That's the note. I love
like
that.
Nature. You can't, like, you know, sorry.
And I think it's so, it's so expected too. Like, in the workplace, there's so much, I think, like, hyper extension of people, regardless of the AI conversation, which is another soapbox I can get onto. But like, there is so much hyper extension of people and so much expectation that isn't necessarily acknowledging that we are people. We need certain things to be able to thrive and bloom and even show up at our best. I mean, think of like some minor obstacles that make it really hard to be like the epitome of the talent that you are when you are in your workplace. So I love that. And I think, as a last question, I'd be curious to know, you've coached me through this one, but visibility is such a big piece in not just as entrepreneurs, but also like in business and moving through our careers. But not everybody's comfortable self-promoting in either of those spaces. So kind of what would be your go-to strategy or advice for women who they want to be seen, but not feel like they're performing?
Think of yourself as a marketing campaign. Who's the audience that you want to be seen by? Where are they? Build a content strategy or a game plan to do it always on. I think women think about personal brands when they need it. They're like, oh, I'm going to remix this, and now I got to megaphone announce to the world. It's the consistency. And we have so many platforms to share our stories, right? Take your pick: Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Pinterest, like whatever. So know your audience, pick the platform, be consistent in what that messaging is. And then it doesn't have to be like public on blast. It could be a private Instagram account. It could be text updates to your mentors. Like, I send text updates and share examples of my work to my mentors all the time. And I'm like, check this out. I'm really proud of it. I just want to share it with you. And then you're top of mind, and they're like, oh, wow, Diana has this expertise. I should tap her for this thing. Coffee check-ins are important. Like, who do you want to surround your energy with? And then one that I recently did that I think is under talked about, I used Canva and I built a portfolio. I built a portfolio of my best-in-class work. I'm going to drop into the chat my LinkedIn. Oh, yay, Japan tips. Thank you so much. if you go to my portfolio or my LinkedIn and it says view my portfolio, I just want you guys to click it just so you can kind of see the work I'm doing. I'm focused on all things like future of work and how we invest into people and to accelerate the growth of the business. So it's like a biz dev side of it. And I aggregated my best in class work. I had shifted from digital advertising to now people and culture, and like, and I got a career coach certification. It's like, wait, what? Diana, what do you do? And it's like, I'm taking everything I've learned in advertising and bringing that into my world, which is why I'm innovating in the worlds that I'm in. But I used Canva, made a public website, and I put my best in class work, added testimonials at the end. I asked mentees and mentors to be like, can you write a testimonial? Same that I have on my LinkedIn profile, listed it there, but I put videos, I put GIFs, I did headlines. And now that's my talk track. When I'm meeting someone new, I'm like, check out my work. And they're like, what? You've done what? And I took time to like aggregate and tell that story and my like philosophy for future of work and all of that. And it looks buttoned up and it's interactive. And so I highly recommend whatever message you're trying to share. Like that's a way that I'm doing it where I'm not blasting that. It's just there. If you want to see my portfolio, it's there. So those are a few of the tips I would say from a visibility perspective, so that you stay relevant and that you get to talk yourself up in whichever distribution you'd like.
Hot take. I feel like it serves twofold because I've done something similar. I didn't originally create it for it to be like a showcase of my work or to speak up. I actually created it as a smile file. If you're familiar with the term, y'all, smile file is where you put like the work you're most proud of, or the testimonials, or the thank yous, or the wow, you really like created something wild, the awards, you name it, in one place, portfolio style. And I use my smile file when my imposter syndrome comes in, when
Nice.
I'm fully roasted chicken, like freaking out about what am I doing? You know, like, do I go here? Do I belong in this room, in this conversation, talking to the CEO, whatever it is? I check out my smile file first. And it sounds silly because I do go to my portfolio before I talk to people, but I do it to remind myself, okay, to get the, you know, the freak in my head to kind of like take a moment and be like, hold on, like, shut up. Like, that's not my actual voice. Like, that's my work I've done. That's how people feel about me and what I've created. And so I do call it my smile file because it's supposed to bring you a little smile.
Such a fun name. I love it. I love it.
I do it. It's my anti-imposter syndrome file, but like also can double as an external portfolio. So like, yes, we love things that multitask. But thank you so much, Diana. Thank you for chatting, for coaching as always. And, you know, personally for me, thank you for always being like a coach for me. Like, I see you from afar and I'm always like, yes, absolutely smashing it. So thank you so much. I'm so excited. I'm so grateful to have you in my life and on this webinar. And I know that there's going to be questions for you. I know it. We have some early questions actually from registrants. So I feel like there's some really good ones in there for you if you want to hang out.
Cool. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Bye, ladies. Have a beautiful rest of your day.
Bye. All right. Well, I hope that you're walking away with a few new insights and actionable ideas that you can start applying right away. We are actually going to open it up for Q&A. So we've got your questions from registration and from throughout the webinar. But if you've been feeling like a wallflower, totally okay. This is your time. Go into the comments, drop your question. We promise we're not going to make it like Zoom weird where we like highlight you in your PJs or wherever you are to ask your question. Like, you're just little anonymous comment box questions. But you'll be able to dive deeper and get clarity on anything that we covered or didn't cover. So let's get everyone back on screen and let's check out some questions. All right, Lauren's going to load these up. All right, so this one's for Katie. How do you voice your opinion without coming across as a quote unquote aggressive female? Because you know your worth.
Okay. Gosh, I guess I just wouldn't categorize it as an aggressive female. I feel like if you have an opinion, and you need to say it, you want to say it, then you just say it. And you aren't trying to worry about whether you're this or whether you're that. That's someone else's opinion. And you really have to just tune out that noise, because someone is always going to think you're too much of this, too little of this, and they're always going to have an opinion about you. And so I hate the aggressive female, concept, because it's bullshit. And again, someone's opinion, not your own. So you just do it the way you're going to do it, and don't worry about that.
Yes. And the amount of times that I've been called bossy. Oh my God, if I had $1 for every time that I was called bossy, I would be so rich, you guys. But whatever, at this point, I've just kind of come to own it. Like I've been called bossy so many times, and I've come to learn that it's my superpower, if you will. It's one of them. And I feel like it's usually also coming from somebody, and maybe y'all feel this as well. It's coming from somebody that I feel like potentially like lacks a certain like stepping up quality, speaking up quality. Like, I'm like, I feel like you're projecting a little bit right now. Granted, that part of it's come with like age and experience and all of the things, but I don't know. I definitely feel that, but the aggressive female and the bossy female, yeah, I'm gonna own it. All right, this one came from our registration, Erica. Mom, work-life balance. How do you show up when your tank is empty?
Remember when I said the word balance is so loaded?
Yeah,
because it is. Diana, you had mentioned the self-care aspect of things, and that you don't skimp on that. The only way that I can show up in the best way possible is if I really am, I know that the expression is overused, but if I'm putting my oxygen mask on first, which feels, the expression, you got to put yours on first, on an airplane before the kids. And it's kind of antithetical to, as a parent, to ever want to put yourself before them, especially in a situation like that. But in this case, you can't be your best self for your company, your business, wherever you work, and or your family. So I advocate for self-care as well, and that can look. It doesn't have to look like you're. I have guilt about this, where it's like, am I being selfish because I did that yoga class? No, that's not selfish, but we almost are trained to think it is if we're not putting ourselves first. But the fact is, we need to, in order to be the best version of ourselves for everybody else. So I would just say, just make sure you're taking care of you, whatever that looks like, being as healthy as you can, so you can show up in the way that you want for everyone else.
I love that so much. I feel that so much. I will share for inspo from whomever may need it. My stuff, it was really challenging for me to find that moment for self-care, especially with like such a little one.
It's hard.
I mean, I don't know what the other end of it looks like. But with a little one, I was like, oh no, I always felt so guilty. And for me, that ended up looking like I get my nails done once a month. And that's like, that is my me time. Like, it's not, it used to be like I tried reading, but then I would feel like really stressed out because I could hear the baby. Like, I need out of the house, because otherwise I'm immediately like, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna tune back in. So I get out, I get my nails done. My nail girl knows that I'm not gonna talk to her while I'm there, and I love her for it. I put on my headphones. Sometimes there's no noise going on. It's just noise blocking. It's just me sitting in silence, getting my nails done. Other times I'm listening to a master class, and y'all, it takes long enough to get your nails done to get through usually like an entire master class. So like, oh, okay, like that's my me time once a month. I'm just like, nobody talk to me.
Yeah.
And then I leave and I feel really cool, because I'm like, even when my hair's not done and my makeup's not done and I'm in sweats, I'm like, oh, my nails look fly as heck. Look at that. I got Wiggles nails for the Wiggles concert this month. But that's my little like inspo moment.
No, I'm the same. This is I hesitated to do a TikTok video that I was supposed to do for work stuff because I hadn't had my nails done. My kids don't recognize me like this without real nails. And so I feel you, I hear you. I'm the same way. I listen to my podcast while I'm there, things I don't have time for.
Yep.
And I need to go book an appointment.
Yes, get your you time in. Let's see here for Diana. We have struggling with what path to take when you have so many ideas and passions. Do you have any advice?
Yeah.
I think this is a very, I mean, I don't know what the other end of it looks like. But for me, that ended up looking like I get my nails done once a month. And that's like, that is my me time. Like, it's not, it used to be like I tried reading, but then I would feel like really stressed out because I could hear the baby. Like, I couldn't hear the baby. Like, otherwise I'm immediately like, I'm just gonna,
Yes, write it all down and do a Venn diagram. So like for me, it's like community, igniting ideas. Like I'm a visionary. I can see things before they're happening, and things like that. But then I would layer in what industries I'm passionate about. Is it women owned? Is it dance? Is it this? And then now, y'all, with AI, you just feed that and you're like, tell me what companies to put on my radar. Tell me what industries to put on my radar. What are the industries that are growing in this space? And you can ask it for questions for 72 hours straight, and it'll still come back to you with options. But then take the knowledge you take from that and then tap your network and say, hey, I'm thinking about this. Hey, I have interest in this. And find the intersection. I think that's where people get stuck, where they're like, I like all of these things, but it's like, well, where do your passions intersect? That's always been the sweet spot. When I see people thrive, it's when they bring all of themselves and find the intersection. I can't wait for you to find yours, for whoever asked that question.
I love that so much. I know I actually ended up, prior to that sage advice, I ended up reading this book called Finding Your Element. It's probably one of the few in the quote unquote self-help books that really provided a lot of questions pre-AI, pre the assistants, to be able to figure out like, what am I supposed to be doing actually? Like I love so many things. And I think it's a really great idea to be able to like put everything in a bubble. And even you can even test that for business ideas. Like if you're moving towards entrepreneurship, words. If you're moving towards that, you can really kind of play with ideas of like, what are some different ways that I can tackle that? What would that look like with different, passions across different quote unquote industries, right? And kind of field test that a little bit in a digital way before you put yourself fully out there. Let's see here. I have a question for Sarai. Let's see. Hold on, Lauren's feeding questions too. A question for Sarai. ADHD, AUDHD in successful women.
Yeah.
Tips, advice, thoughts?
I have so many thoughts. I'm ADHD. I was diagnosed in my 20s. I have been very successful in business. I am unmedicated ADHD. It is a challenge. I mean, it is. And when you can find ways to help keep yourself organized, when you can find ways to keep yourself regulated throughout the day, that to me was the biggest shift in my life and in my career, was because I was always like frantic. And as somebody who's ADHD, I've got lists, I've got piles, I've got post-its, I've got these things, and I'm a doer and achiever. So like I like to check things off, and it's all living out here. And so instead of trying to wrangle all of the things in here, it's like, what is one thing I can do right now in this moment to clear my plate a little? Whether it's checking off that thing, whether it's, oh my God, I need to take a deep breath because I can't think straight, and when we, our ADHD brain definitely works differently than neurotypicals. It's finding these little things that work for you. And, the nervous system kit that people are going to get, there's so many tools. There's so many tools for every scenario that you could think of. Pick one, screenshot it, keep it on your phone. And when you find yourself spiraling, you're like, I should do this, I got to do this, but I can't. And you're stuck doom scrolling. It's like, okay, let's just pause. Let's just do one freaking thing right now that gets me in my body so that I can start doing the things that I want to do, taking over the world, right? Destroying the patriarchy, those things, start checking those off our list. But in order to do that, we have to find spaces in our body and in our brain that allow us to do that, because ADHD, AUDHD can be extremely overwhelming, and it can feel very unmanageable some days. And I'm not perfect. I still struggle, y'all. I still struggle with some of this nervous system shit where I'm like freaking out and I'm like, okay, use a tool, bitch, use a tool right now. So, yeah, it's finding these little ways to make things more manageable. Like we were talking about self-care, like whether it's an hour a week, an hour a month, whatever it is. It's like finding these little ways to slip them into your life. Habit stacking is another really great thing. So as you're brushing your teeth, doing, let's say, some jumping up and down or some 4-6 breath, or before you do a thing, add something to it. That way it makes it easy and manageable. But I'm here to tell you that as someone who is unmedicated ADHD, who is very ambitious, very driven, very scatterbrained, you can absolutely run a successful business. I am an entrepreneur as well. It can be done.
Love. And then this is going to be a quick fire question for each of you. I'll go ahead and call on each of you. But for everyone from one of our registrants, overcoming self-sabotage and negative talk, I will preface, we know that the world is on fire right now. We know that things feel overwhelming. There's a reason that you're here, that you're listening to this, that you're listening to these amazing women share their experiences and their advice and mentorship. So, what's like one quick fire way, if you had just a few seconds to tell somebody, hey, here's my hot take on how to overcome that self-sabotage and that negative talk that, has you spiraling. Katie.
Therapy. I mean, and it really is, that's what I've done. It helped, it did wonders. And also the main thing I learned is replacing that negative self-talk with something positive. And you have to work, you have to put in the work every day, and it never completely goes away if that's you, but you can get better at it.
Yeah. What about you, Erica?
So I really love your smile file. I don't do that, but I think that's an amazing technique and like not something I thought of doing. I think some of this comes with just experience. Like I just don't give a shit. Like I'm who I am at this stage of my life. It is not changing. And so I just kind of have embraced it. But again, I think that just comes with time and experience and like being comfortable in your own in your own skin. But love the smile file. I think that's amazing. And I think just disregarding the self-sabotage. I know that we can hear those voices in our head, but then also we have therapy. We have very accessible therapy, by the way. You don't even have to go to a therapist. There are apps for this. There's a lot of resources out there, and I encourage everyone to do it to the extent that they're comfortable. But that's a big thing in our family for all of us to like be proactive about our mental health instead of reactive to it, because that's you go and get your body checked and all that stuff. Like I think it's the smartest use of time, self-care, and money to do that.
All right, Sarai.
So I'm very familiar with this. My self-talk used to be, you're a stupid, fat, ugly piece of shit, dumpster fire. You don't deserve love. Like this was my self-talk every day. So one of the tools that really helped me get out of that space was I started to name that self-talk. So what I would do is they would either be characters. So I would name them like, is this fucking Becky? Is this Baniqua? Is this Carl? Or I noticed that my dad would show up in my self-talk. My dad was very hard on me. So I'd be like, okay, who is talking right now? Because this does not feel like Sarai, like honestly. And so I would be like, okay, Becky, I need you to shut the fuck up. Like I need you to calm down, back off. And I would say, Becky, you know what? That's not true. I am actually capable of doing this. I'm human and I screwed up. I made this mistake. Okay, Becky, back off. So I started looking at them as like alternate personalities. And that really helped me go, okay, I'm going to be okay here. And then eventually I started talking back, and sometimes I do talk out loud. I talk to myself all the time, but geniuses do that. I started having conversations and just being like, you know what, this is not true. This is something that I learned when I was 5. And now I know at 45 years old that this is not true. And, touching back on something that Katie said is, I think you get to an age where you're just like, I don't give a shit. Like, I don't care anymore. I'm done playing the games with myself, with other people. And there is a book that completely changed the way I looked at self-sabotage. I know you said quick. I'm so sorry. I'm not quick at anything.
You're
and
good.
I'm a fat talker. The book that changed my life is called The Mountain Is You. It is by Brianna Wiest. She is one of my favorite authors on the planet, but it describes self-sabotage in such a way that is not shaming or blaming, but it really gives you perspective. So I will put that in the chat for everybody too.
And I'll
I'm
go
shutting
ahead
up
and
now.
throw. No, you're good. I'll go ahead and throw mine. And I think outside of the smile file is something that I've used a lot for imposter syndrome, for that specific kind of like voice. In terms of self-sabotage and negative talk, I'm going to take an alternative route here. I did therapy for ages and ages and ages. You guys, like a multiple decades of therapy. And I will say, this is not a paid sponsorship. I will say there are alternatives to doing that self-work, but I think the self-work in one way, shape, or form or another is kind of what's needed to get through that self-sabotage and negative talk. Because for me, for example, like therapy only got me so far in being like, cool, that's where the voice is coming from. But it's not getting me through like figuring out how to deal with it all the time. And so, you know, I've practiced, done some practice prompts, as it were, in like some different books I've read, which have been really great. The smile file is helpful for certain voices. And then I will say, again, not sponsored, but I'm actually one of Sarai's clients, and it's a totally different kind of coaching. I had done talk therapy, but I'd never tried like coaching my nervous system and figuring out, okay, like maybe like I know what's going on in my head, but maybe I need to figure out what's going on in my body. And like that has been so game changing for me. So again, not sponsored, you guys, but just something that I've found so helpful for that self-sabotage and the overwhelm and kind of all of those things, being able to address them in my body and not just kind of know foundationally where it's coming from. But that's where we're at. Thank you so much, ladies, for being here. I will say we're still nearly at full house. So like everyone's been so engaged, and I've loved seeing the comments. Okay, Cheyenne, if we have time for one more, how do we stop apologizing for nothing important? Who wants to answer? We do.
I don't say I'm sorry
go.
unless I'm sorry. So, you know, I would just get to the, you know, to really think like, who am I disrupting? Like, why am I sorry? You know, you're not. Like, you should be taking up that space. You should be saying the words. You can hear my kids in the background now. Sorry.
Good.
You could say the words you want to say. Like, there's nothing to be sorry for. And I, you know, not to like, you know, bring it back to the patriarchy, Sarai, but they don't do that. I don't see them sitting. I haven't seen a man in power say I'm sorry at all for anything. So ever,
Agreed.
honestly. So I don't think we should be doing that either.
And I think it's such a knee-jerk reaction too that we do, right?
Yeah. I was going to say, I think for me, I don't know that I was a big apologizer, but just with other things that I've had issues with, I think it starts with awareness. It's like when you're aware that you're doing it unnecessarily, like it sounds like this person probably is, I think that's the first step. And then I think the second one is when you get to that moment, you have to pause before you talk and just like be with your mind for a second and reflect before you choose whatever words you're going to use. And I think that awareness combined with the pause can really help. And along with what Erica was saying, like you got to get the confidence to know that you don't have to be doing that.
Yeah.
Sarai, what do you think?
I second what both of these beautiful humans have said. And something that I did when I was never an over apologizer, but I definitely was a negative self-talker, and I would talk shit on myself out loud. And when I was trying to change that, something would come out of my mouth automatically, right? Like the I'm sorry. And I would say, stop. So it's creating new neural pathways in our brain, right? So like Katie said, that moment, that beat, that pause where you have a decision to move differently, to change that behavior. So whether it's, you know, you pinch the top of your hand when you catch yourself doing it, you rub your ears, you say a word, it could be Bananarama, it could be stop, it could be something that just interrupts that loop that you're in. And then you get to take a moment and you get to create a new loop.
I love that. I will say for myself, that was one that therapy really killed it on, on the apologizing piece. For me, that looked a lot like I started flagging to myself whenever I apologize. And like, again, I'm talking about like you run into somebody at the subway and you're like, I'm sorry. Why am I saying I'm sorry? Why can't I just say, excuse me? Or like, oops, my bad. It's like, why am I immediately going to, I'm sorry. And so I really just started flagging it and was able to, in doing that, reframe. I do take you kind of move from being able to flag it to being able to pause and then make a different choice in what you're going to say. And so now in situations where I would normally or would have previously been like, oh, I'm sorry, was that thing late? Or I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I just go, oh, hey, like it's a different filler, right? Because I feel like in my 2 cents, my hot take, I think I'm sorry has become a filler a lot for women. Even when like you're not actually feeling sorry in your heart about the thing, right? Like, are you actually sorry that you didn't send the email 5 minutes sooner? Like, are you sorry for real that someone else bumped into you on the subway? Like, probably not. So I think that has helped. Again, it's a process, but kind of reframing a little bit. Like, you're not actually sorry. Maybe it's just like, oops, no worries, or oh, excuse me, or whatever it may be. That doesn't have to mean. And it starts with those like really small moments, and it ends up you being able to, from practice, use it in larger moments in a workplace setting, in a business setting where, you know, maybe you didn't get something turned in on time. You need to say sorry? Not really. You can just be like, oh, hey, I didn't get this to you on time. Here it is now. I'll work on setting a reminder for myself later. You didn't have to say sorry. Like, you don't have to be sorry about these things that, unless that report was like literally going to save somebody's life, you're probably good.
Jennifer, can I say one more thing just on this? So one thing that I started doing is, instead of saying I'm sorry, I will say thank you so much for understanding X, Y, and Z. Thank you so much for understanding that life gets in the way. Instead of that I'm sorry, reframe it to thank you. That helps a lot.
Yes. Love it. Gratitude. Yes, gratitude first. Well, I am so grateful for having all of you here today. Thank you for staying and answering some of our Q&As. And I know for my team, if we want to jump in, we have a final message for you, so don't log off just yet. We would love to share, like, we know that this is typically where most events end. And with some cute little, thank you so much for joining us today. Okay, bye. And then everybody closes the tab and forgets what they did and starts doom scrolling. So we're not going to do that because we did not just cook for an hour and change to send you back into the world with nothing but good vibes and potentially like a Zoom fatigue headache. So here's what we're going to do. 1, we are going to pick one action item that you heard today. You're going to put it in your calendar for a week from now. So not a vision board, not in your notes app graveyard. Okay. We're going to calendar next Tuesday, non-negotiable. Just go ahead and pop it in now. Is it, I'm going to make a smile file. Is it bitch breathe? Is it like, what are you reminding yourself a week from now? Put it in there. Is it, don't forget to open the toolkit? There's more exercises in there. You know, what do you need? Is it, hey, mama, you got this? Or don't forget to give yourself some self-care. Next Tuesday, I'm counting on you to do this. 2, we're going to keep an eye on our emails this week. Not only are we sending you a replay of this amazing webinar, we are also going to send out a toolkit. So that's going to have a bunch of different goodies in there on how to actually continue to create momentum here. It is not behind a paywall. As I said, we promised no paywall here. Okay. We're sending you these tools. Some of these tools have even actually been sent in by some of our speakers. So there's so much amazing information on there. So many amazing resources on there. We are also going to be dropping some new free resources on our webpage. And Dromo, please, we are so excited to announce that Mimo, Marketing Momentum, is going to be announcing our new podcast. So before you cringe and go, oh gosh, not another podcast, we are launching Momentum Sessions. So very much conversations just like this. If you feel like you found value in listening to these speakers, this is our crowd. This is who we hang with. Okay. This is who we look up to. These are, you know, like I will say, Sarai was somebody I blindly reached out to and was like, I think you're amazing. Would you be into speaking at this thing? Like Eric and I met because she had a really cool fit at a conference I was at, and like we kicked it. So this is who we like to hang with. This is kind of the velocity that we're moving at. So it's going to be a good time, very vibey, very chill. Also smaller sessions so you can kind of consume it when you're driving or having your nails done, whatever works for you. And we are also starting a Cool Girls Club. So take a look for that in the future. And then number 3, last item, I promise, Lauren's going to be dropping something in the chat for you. So just take a few seconds to be really honest with us. We created this for you and we want to continue to make this better. So were the vibes on point? Did you learn something new? Do you need a new host? No, you don't. Let us know. Let us know what you thought about today. Tell us about our host. Tell us about everything. And then, okay, while we're being honest, right, before you head out, I want to say something to each and every one of you that are watching this either live or tuning in after and watching the replay or randomly found this video on YouTube. Like, good for you for watching. Thank you. I'm proud of you. Building something from nothing is really hard. Running a business while the world keeps moving and algorithms are changing and AI and everybody has an opinion and that takes a really specific kind of person. So every single one of you, you're that person. You're here. You invested the time into yourself to say, how can I make HERstory? So we did build Mimo for people and brands that are figuring it out. We didn't do it for the, we've got it, this is the formula, this is the way people. We did it for the, let's figure it out. Let's try something new. Let's explore. Let's challenge the status quo. We built it for the ones that are in the middle of their story and they're showing up even when it's hard. So that's you. That's our people. And that's why we're here. So to our 5 speakers today, and also Lauren and Cheyenne and our incredible guests, thank you so much for bringing your whole selves into our digital room today. And we appreciate it. There's no filter, no fluff, just speaking from the heart. And we don't take that for granted. Okay. We care so much about just not putting on a show and just putting on sharing actual talk. Okay. We want to be the type of people you'd want to hang out and have a coffee with and be like, okay, tell me the real deal. So thank you so much. And to everyone who watched, took notes, screenshotted the chat, sent a panicked DM mid-session, we see you. We love it. Don't stop. This is Mimo, SoCal built, female founded, powered by feminine rage. And we are just getting started. Thanks so much.